Hi, everyone. Welcome to the month ahead for September, and welcome to you, Juno. Thanks for being here.
Hey, hi Joan, how you doing?
I'm hanging in there. How about you?
Yeah, not using a rope or anything. It's a crazy time to be on planet Earth, but here we are,
Yeah,
making the best of it, right?
yes, indeed. And it's hard to believe it's September. Where did summer go?
I know. We always say that, isn't it funny? Every time, every month that goes by or every year, it's always, oh, it goes so fast.
Yeah,
But the minutes drag on and on sometimes.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, September is kind of a special month, as they all are. So why don't you tell us tell us why they call it September.
That's really interesting because all the other months that we've done so far, you've tuned into a person that the month was named after. But with September, the Romans had in their Julian calendar, they considered March to be the beginning of the year. And so when they changed it over, they just started the numbering of the months from then. So they consider September to be the seventh month. And it comes from the word septem, septem, which means seven, even though it's the ninth month. So it's kind of a holdover from that. And the Christians called it the Holy Month because that's the month that the Virgin Mary was born. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
And so from now until January, or now through December, all the months are named because of the Julian calendar. They're just
yeah,
numbers.
yeah, taken after
October
the
10, and yeah.
taken
So,
from the Latin name for that month or that number of
right.
starting from March. Nothing,
Right.
anything to be confusing.
And let's see, what else is happening in September? In the sky, September 9th, a Mercury retrograde starts, and it's going to last for about 3 weeks. The 10th is the full moon, it's the harvest moon. The 25th will be a new moon. And the 22nd is equinox. And equinox is in Libra, which emphasizes peace, justice, and fairness, which are all good qualities.
And balance,
And balance, yes.
which we really are needing a lot of good balance energy coming in.
Yeah. But I like the justice part of it too.
Hmm.
So tell us about the crystals and cards that you
Oh,
have there.
well, let me
But
talk.
first talk about the mandala.
Okay, yeah, this is a very, very special mandala that I made. I designed and crocheted it in honor of all of those affected by the war in Ukraine, because it's not just the people who are living there. It's really affecting a lot of other people. So there's 5 red hearts in the center that magnify out to double out to be the 10 pink hearts. So these are the people of Ukraine. And around the edge, there's actually 94. The numbers just kind of worked out that way. It doesn't really mean anything necessarily, but this big circle of little white hearts represents all of us light workers who are joining our energies together and beaming love and and all kinds of support to all those who are affected. So this is just a very special piece for me, and I wanted to share it with everybody. And when you see the mandala in this video and my other videos, just please take a moment and send out some extra love and care to those people.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
And how about the crystals?
Yeah, so here we've got lapis lazuli, which a lot of people shorten it and they'll just say lapis. And lapis just means stone. It's the lazuli or lazuli, however you choose to say it, but that's what means the color blue. So I just thought that was kind of curious. But this is one of the stones for September, and it's also the crystal for Archangel Michael, who we're going to be talking about in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is it's a massage crystal. It's made to put your thumb here and work on somebody, but this is amber. If you can see all the little goodies in there.
Yeah.
And amber is not actually a crystal. It's a fossilized tree resin, so it's got a lot of that tree energy. And one of the reasons for it, well, its name actually comes from the Greek, which had a word for being electric, because when you rub it, it's like static electricity. Like when you rub a balloon or something, it's kind of got that quality to it. And that is also related to Archangel Uriel, who we're also going to be talking about. So
Yeah.
that's what those guys are.
Wonderful. Should we talk about, oh no, why don't you do the cards?
Yeah, these are the cards. You know, we had a few that were from last month that roll over, but these are the ones that just start with September. Let me see if I can get them all in here so you can see them. So we have the Nine of Pentacles, the Ten of Pentacles, the Queen of Swords, the Two of Swords, and the Justice card. And I find it really curious that we've got just swords and pentacles here. Another thing to notice is we've got 3 yes cards, 1 no card, and 1 maybe card. So I think that overall is really positive energy. You know, and I think that we'd all, at least my understanding of the viewers of our videos, are really wanting to see this sword of justice come in and start taking names, if we know what we mean.
And lots of female energy there too.
Yeah. And look at all I mean, you couldn't have more pentacles in 2 cards. You've got the 9 and the 10, you know, so there's 19 pentacles right there. So I see this as a good outlook for us.
Yeah.
And that we're going to be able to stand strong. Let's see, look at all the female energy, because the Justice card typically is female. You know, I know that they don't necessarily have to be that, you know, sex, but overall, you think female energy. Here's a woman, here's the Queen. You know, we do have a woman in this card, and then the Queen, you know, or you know, the woman in the 9 of Pentacles, not the Queen. But rarely do we see that much divine feminine energy coming in. So I think Mother Nature's got a message for us, you know. I like
that. Sounds great. And we were going to talk about, since we don't have, you know, a patron who's the month is named after, we thought we would talk about the archangels. There are, let's see, Archangel Michael, Gabriel, and Raphael. And in some traditions, Archangel Uriel are all recognized in September on the 29th. So that's a lot of powerful angel energy.
And Mother Mary at the same, you know, it's a lot.
Yeah. And Mother Mary on September 8th. So it's as you said, it's considered the holy month. So I'm wondering if maybe we could tune in, and I could tune in, and I'm kind of drawn to seeing if I can tune into Archangel Uriel and see if he has a little bit of information for us for the month ahead. And I like that his crystal is, one of them is amber, because he is associated with the earth energy too. And he's one of the, along with Michael, it's his charge to protect the earth and humankind.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned that he was the lantern. What was it? The light?
Yeah, he's often pictured with, he's often called the light of God, and he'll light your way. And he's often pictured with a glowing disc or some sort of image of light. And another one of his symbols, because he's associated with the earth, is wheat. So that brings us back to Ukraine too. So we'll see.
And I forgot to mention amber. When you work, you know, energetically, it aids depression and feeling disconnected. And I think all of us could use some amber in our lives these days. And the lapis lazuli, it's good for releasing past anger and injustices that hold us back from growth, and brings lasting serenity and deep peace. So I think those are 2 really appropriate crystals.
Yeah, especially right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think I'll just kind of tune in quickly and see if I can get anything from Archangel Uriel, and then you can read your angel cards and see.
Okay.
All right, Archangel Uriel, please be with us. What information or message do you have for the people who are listening to this today that could be of use and helpful to them about the month ahead? He's saying he loves this month, the transition from the heat of summer to the cooler days of autumn. And I'm seeing like leaves that are in the process of turning. There's a little bit of green, and then there's some red and yellow in them. So he's saying connect with this energy of transition, both the physical part, if you can get out and take a walk sometime and in nature and see depending on where you are and what the flora and fauna is doing. You might see later in the month some of the turning leaves or the fullness of summer flowers, and just kind of take that in the way the farmers are taking in the grain and storing it for the winter, because it's this kind of the change makes us have that feeling of longing a little bit that we sometimes get in September, knowing that the fullness of summer is almost past, but it makes us more anxious to take it into our heart and store it away, like the farmers storing grain. And ooh, I'm getting chills, getting a feeling of that in your heart so you can draw upon it all the long winter long.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Spirit, our Archangel Uriel, what else can help us show us the way with your light? Also, just as there are so many changes in nature during this month, this is the start of a lot of changes. He's saying astrologically, but also changes in earth energy that is expressed through changes in humans, including things are just starting to move more quickly now. And now I'm getting images of cogs, like a cog where the cogs come together and go like this. They've been apart and turning, and now it's like the gears are going to engage. And it's going to, just like the gear in a car or whatever, it's going to move things forward more quickly. So it's sort of like hang on to your hats. Yeah. And so that's why he was saying start with being firmly grounded in nature and in the earth, because things are going to start to move. And some of the things are going to be we will consider them very positive, but just the rate of change is going to amp up. How about Ukraine? Things will be accelerating there too, but he doesn't want to talk about that too much. That's fine. Any final words? Call upon me. Call upon me when you feel lost or overwhelmed, and I'll light your way. I'll be there for you. That was kind of nice. What do you
Very
get?
nice. And I would just remembered that the Hermit card actually goes from the end of August and into September. And I always think of that with the lantern. So there's a connection there.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. That was beautiful. I got chills when you were speaking. And I see that when you were doing like the cogs in the wheel, I also see that like zipper teeth, you know,
yeah.
like pulling that all together. So zipping something up.
Yep.
Zipping up the summer, all that good stuff. The first card I pulled was Seraphina, and the message is, I am the angel of families. A happy change or addition is coming to your family. And what struck me about that is I see that as like our light worker family that we have. You know, maybe we're going to be welcoming some new people that we haven't seen that yet before, or, you know, they're going to be coming in to join us. And we need all the help we can get, right, to keep this moving forward and staying positive. And the bottom of the deck was Crystal, and her message is, have faith and hope, because there is something positive and new on the horizon that you can't yet see. And that goes exactly with what you were saying. So I think the cards bear out your message from Uriel.
And isn't it interesting that the background of both of those cards exactly matches the crystals that they're under.
Oh, wow. I didn't even realize that. Look at that. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
I just love those things. Spirit does all this little magic for us that we don't even know.
Yes.
Thanks for noticing that.
That's
I love it. Look at her. Look at how beautiful her wings are.
Yeah.
That's a really cool card.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So thank you, Archangel Uriel. We appreciate your
and thank you.
You're helping us.
Now, were there any other kind of intro messages that you wanted to give?
I don't think so. I went
Okay.
through my list. I think we're good, but thanks for
Okay. Then we're going to dive in and do some readings. I'll tune in and Juno will pull cards on some of the things coming up this month.
Okay.
And the first question I have, I noticed that September 1st is Emma M. Nut Day. And I'd never heard of Emma M. Nut.
Say that 3 times fast.
I know. And she was the first female telephone switchboard operator in America. September 1st, 1878. She loved the job and worked at it for 33 years. And that just kind of reminded me of all the things when, men take the jobs and then, or else women do jobs like in computer technology. It was all women who were the computers at first. But then as they realize it's real important, we have to take this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So it made me think, when will women be equally valued and respected in the workplace in all aspects, including in pay and advancement and culture? When I mean culture, I mean like
societal culture.
Yeah. And just like the things that men can say and women can't, or anyhow, I won't go on into it too much. People kind of know what that is. So let's see.
I've been watching old What's My Line shows from like the 50s and the early 60s just to get away from all the other stuff. And yesterday, Hedy Lamarr was on.
Oh, yeah.
But she's not on. And she's like why we have cell phones and all. Like she invented all kinds of things. And you don't hear about her.
Right.
Because she was a woman. But she, people could look her up. She's got a very fascinating history. Very intelligent woman. And very
unsung.
Yes, there you go. That's the word.
And I don't know if it was her or someone else who invented Bluetooth, the technology that.
Yeah, there's something in there with the.
Yeah, that resulted in Bluetooth.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk. Let's ask Spirit. When will women be equally valued and respected in the workplace? It's funny that you just mentioned a game show, because I started hearing that. I don't know what game show it is, but the music they would play as the clock went. Was
that Jeopardy?
Yeah, something like that.
I think it's Jeopardy. Yeah.
Okay, so it's going to be a while. Okay, I'm getting that it's not going to happen tomorrow, but with each tick of the clock as each day goes, as each woman steps up and there becomes more of a critical mass of women in leadership, is going to happen. There are so many changes like this coming. I'm hearing there's people who are taking a more traditional approach their consciousness is being expanded. So there's misogyny and things like that, but there are eyes that need to be opened, and it's like, I didn't even realize that this was happening, that I'm always talking over that the other people at the boardroom table or the women at the table, and it's just going to become more part of the culture. And that the first movements of the women's movements in the 60s, or even going back to getting the vote in the 1800s, they all made a step forward, but then it's like it's a swing. It goes forward and it comes back and it has to be refined. So, Spirit, what's the end result here? It's going to get better. It's not going to come fast, and it's more things will become more and more refined. The questions and the issues that will be addressed are just as important as, the big thing about, yes, you get to have a job or you can apply for the job, but there are more of a deep dive into the specifics and particulars of what it's like to work as a woman in the workplace. So that will be coming. What do your cards say?
Well, these are curious cards. Here we've got the 7 of Swords reversed And I see this as kind of, like this is the card of the thief. And I kind of see this as how men have kind of stolen our thunder, women's thunder for all these generations. Um, and it talks about being your own worst enemy and lying to yourself. And I think the fact that it's in reverse is kind of showing that the tables are turning. They're not going to be able to keep getting away with this. Uh,
Right.
Putting us, keeping us hidden under a bushel basket, so keeping our light hidden, so to speak. With the hangman being in reverse, that's about becoming unstuck. So I think that we're seeing a big obstacle being shifted for us that, excuse me, as difficult as the last, excuse me, few years have been, it's brought a lot to the surface. And like the whole Roe v. Wade thing has really shifted the way people are starting to realize we got to look at this differently, you know. Um, and then here with the Four of Swords, that shows me, well, it's not going to happen in a hurry. It's a card of rest and retreat. So it's not like seeing one of the knights with a charging horse. It's not an illness, it's just time out to, and maybe it's to figure out how we best pull this off, so to speak, make this happen in the best way possible. And the Fool being reversed, here again, I kind of see that male energy of they're kind of being turned upside down.
Yep.
That the journey that they thought they were on, well, we're going to change that journey, and we're rewriting our future. So what do you see in the cards?
I just as you were saying, I really like that both the thief and the hangman are, it's turning things on their head. It's not going to be stolen from, not going to get stuck. Maybe it'll take some time, but women, we're just not, we're nobody's fool.
And we're not going to be the fool.
Yep, we've been through enough that and our mothers and grandmothers and generations past, that we kind of know the lay of the land. So it's not our first rodeo, so to speak.
Yeah, I've been also watching like old match game shows from the 1970s, and it's just interesting because women were just starting to really be able to wield their power back then. It was a whole big shift, and seeing some of these famous actresses on these shows not wearing a bra, and it's like, really, they did, that person did that. I was really surprised.
Cool.
And another thing on What's My Line, like Arlene Francis and so many of these women, like they had them wear these sleeveless or like strapless gowns all the time. So when they were sitting there, they looked like they were sitting there naked. I thought it just is such a dichotomy with how strict everything was. And then you see these, it's just really funny to look at it from looking back on it now, from where we are.
Okay. Next is September 2nd. And I promise you, we're not going to do every day in September, but they're just kind of laying out this way. So September 2nd was VJ Day. And September 2nd, 1945, the Japanese formally surrendered to the US after the military dropped atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So my question is, it's been 77 years since VJ Day, and we are still not safe from the threat of nuclear disaster. Will humankind ever stop using nuclear power as a tool of war and manipulation? And I put manipulation in there because there's been rumors for entertainment purposes only about how some of the things that may have been given to our enemies would be so that nuclear weapons could be turned against us. So let's see. Will we ever be able to stop using nuclear power as a tool of war and manipulation?
Okay.
I'm getting the same clock, and it's not the countdown to catastrophe, not the doomsday clock, but I'm just seeing a second hand, but the seconds are going really slowly. That it's again is we're getting there, but we're not there yet. The greed and the power, we're waiting for people. Okay, now I'm getting heart chakra opening up and saying when the 51% of people are more attuned and uh, invested in love and peace, so much so that they can overcome those who will use manipulation uh, in their search for money and power and control. Only then will it really tip. But things are going to be getting better. Okay, Spirit, what else? Can you tell us about this? Our galactic friends are saying that's why we're not making ourselves real apparent yet, because all those more base forces, the greed, the desire for power and control, and fear, all feed into that warlike mentality. Hurt the other, threaten the other to keep yourself safe. And they're saying that's why they don't want to come out in the open quite so much. And now they're showing me the eyedropper. It's so many things are like this. It's going to be coming a little bit at a time. Okay, now they're showing me the eyedropper filling up a drinking glass, and the drinking glass has it has more water in it than it can hold, but it's being held by surface tension. So it's like unseen forces are holding things together.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, yeah. And then there'll come a time when there'll be just enough drops and things have become, because the unseen forces are helping us bring this to four, that there'll be one more drop and then all the water will flow out, and it'll just be like common knowledge that of course we would never do that. So again, it'll take time, but each drop is important. Each step along the way is important.
Interesting.
What do you have?
Interesting. The Fool shows up here again upside down. First off, we have the Seven of Cups, which is all these different choices in here. We've got, an unseen. We don't know what this is. Is that a ghost under there? I've read different things on what that may be or could be, but it's kind of like, the choice is up to us. And it's not just us Americans. It's up to the whole world to make these choices, and make hopefully the best choices possible. And you've got a dragon here, you've got a lot of different things represented. So it is a big deal. I think the seriousness of it shows in the different symbolism on this card for me. And then with the Fool reversed, it's kind of like, well, how foolish we've been to push things as far as we have, and not keep up with the maintenance of things and stuff like that, it may not be the happiest journey that we're on, and we know that. That's not news to any of us. Or we wouldn't even be asking this question, right? But here, this is the Ten of Pentacles, and it's a happy family. It's all the different generations. So I think it's like the family of man coming together, and maybe some of our star being friends coming together to help guide us and keep us from the worst of the worst. But with the Two of Swords, it's a choice,
Yeah.
and from what I've heard, like what people have said about the star beings, that they're not just going to come down and fix our mistakes for us. They might prevent us from the worst of the worst happening, but the choices are still up to us. So I think it's interesting that the bookends here, both these cards are about choices. The Two of Swords and the Seven of Cups. So every little decision that we make, even on small levels, like about recycling or, conserving, reusing, all that kind of stuff. It's funny how it's starting to become like the cool thing to do, to be able to repurpose and reuse.
Right.
And, but there's no Tower card. There's no Devil card here. I think that we all know that we're in for a challenge, but I'm encouraged by these cards, actually.
I do. I think so too. I really like the Fool upside down. Again, it's like when we're nobody's fool, like talking about in 1945, they thought they were doing the right thing, but they had no idea what they were really triggering. And now there's a lot more knowledge about what this really means. So maybe the Ten of Pentacles could be, I know there have been people who have been saying, well, there's new forms of nuclear that could be used for power generation that's much safer. And maybe if there's money in that to be had, there would be, you know, maybe there's ways to make, for companies to get behind a safer type of nuclear energy or a different kind of nuclear energy. And you're right, then it's just all a choice.
Well, and here we've got 2 yes cards, a maybe card, and only 1 no card. So I think on balance, it's much more positive than negative. So, but you know, we all have to remain vigilant, and okay, we're not in a position where we can flip a switch or deactivate anything or whatever, but our energy that we send out as our collective does make a difference. I really believe that. So just keep your keep your thoughts positive. I know it's really challenging, but this is what we're here for. And it's really up to us to shine our light and to stay high vibrating as much as we can, because there's it doesn't take a lot of us to turn that around. It isn't a 1-for-1 thing. The percentage is different. So,
well, that's good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Next up, it's September 3rd is International Bacon Day.
Said you weren't going to go day to day. I'm teasing.
I couldn't let that one go. So I wanted to ask, what's the future of the meat industry in America, between all the things that, aren't great for the animals and then for all the workers and everything too. But let's focus more on the meat industry and the animals. What's the future of the meat industry in the US? I think Archangel Uriel may be a patron of animals too.
One of them, hang on, it was Archangel Raphael helps you find lost pets. So, and he'll come up at the end of the month, but I think that's interesting.
Okay, I am seeing, as culture changes, and it has significantly changed, much more understanding and compassion for animals, even those that are raised for food. Animals used to be considered just a product, and that they didn't have there was no value to them, farm animals, other than the value that they would bring the farmer or the companies that did the processing. So, Spirit, what's going to happen to this industry? It's a combination of people's rising consciousness about even eating animals and keeping animals and raising them for food, and current conditions in slaughterhouses that can make for infections and bacteria, bad things happening to the product. And that those two things, from a business corporate profitability standpoint and a technology standpoint and a humanitarian standpoint, like those three things are going to come together. And as we move toward other sources of food and protein, and one of them is lab raised meats, so that it just is grown from a single cell. It was never a living animal. And then things like, there will be some people who don't even want to eat that. And so other sources of protein and nutrition, especially from seaweed, are, and other sources. So technology and industry, and like mixing up all the and people's heartfelt compassion. And I'm getting that some of this has been amped up just in the past couple of years, with so many people really having fur babies. I mean, they're not even pets; they're fur babies now, and that has raised the the connection between the human species and other species in ways that can't be turned back. So there's hope there. What do you get? Ooh, wow. That's quite a set of cards. Tell us about them.
Yeah. Well, and when I shuffle, like I split the deck in half and I turn half over, like I'm constantly shuffling and turning. So it's interesting when so many show up the way they do. Well, the Tower card, don't panic. That's in the past. And I think we all know that. And I also see like, in the last few years, we've seen like factories burn down and, even if not the physical building, like with COVID, like people couldn't go into work, I think it really shows the whole industry has really been turned on its head in the last few years. And we know we're almost to the point where we have to make a change, not just to say, well, we want to be nice to the animals. I don't mean that that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that that's not the only motivator here. It's necessary for us to do this, to go forward. The Knight of Pentacles in reversed is about stagnation and a long wait. And I think it's like, well, that's exactly what it's been. We've just been doing things the way we've always done up until the pandemic started. We all just kind of chugged along and, well, this is what everybody else is doing, so I'm going to do it too. You just kind of go along with it. But I think that's showing that it's going to be shifting. And then seeing the Page of Pentacles in reverse, that's about waiting for a message about money and a job settlement. So this, like everything, doesn't it always come down to money? And how to figure out, just like the whole thing with going from gas powered cars to electric and all that, it's like there's all these stops and starts and burps and upsets, till we get the change made. And that's kind of how I see this. There's going to be messages, but they might not be coming as quickly as we want, but they're coming. And then here with the Seven of Cups in reverse, that's about being overwhelmed by choices. And what I saw here is people who think, oh, I'm not going to be able to get my steak or whatever, their typical meat. And what I'm hearing from this is there's going to be so many choices of things that we're not going to miss those things we used to eat and think it was okay to eat. Whether, like you said, it's the lab created meats or kelp or from whatever source. And who knows, maybe our ET friends will Uber us some goodies from out there that we'll like, who knows what can come next. I think we're in a time of like really magical creation. Things are going to be like they've never been before. And that doesn't mean they're going to be bad. Why don't we imagine the most wonderful things? Like chocolate won't be bad for you.
I'll sign up for that.
Yeah. So
I like that. I mean, it's coming. Change is coming, and there's no denying it.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and the messages are going to be coming, and maybe I think they've been slow in coming, but I think the Tower has shaken it up so much that it's like to the tipping point now. It's got to change.
Yeah. Oh, excuse me. That looks great.
I didn't mean to bore you, Joan.
No, I haven't slept. Oh God, I'm so sorry.
I'm teasing. You can't see me. Maybe I've been sleeping the whole time.
I know you've been yawning on through mine. Oh. Okay. Next is September 5th is Labor Day. So
what about the 4th? Where'd the 4th go?
Yeah, then we start jumping a little bit more rather than going day by day. So what can you tell us about the future of work for American workers, particularly those, like the people who would be working in the meat packing plants? What's going to happen to people at the unskilled labor or the lower end of the economic strata? Tell us about the future of labor.
We depend on those people so much.
Yeah. We will all learn that over the pandemic. Yeah, I'm seeing the scales of justice and how those types of things have helped us take a new look at the value of work, and it needs to be balanced out. Okay, so what's going to happen to the American workers? What does that mean? I'm seeing like sort of on a map, different areas, lots of small gatherings. So I think this means more unions, and they're showing to me that they look like mushrooms, like upside down mushrooms. Spirit, how come you're showing them as mushrooms? It's like a naturally occurring growth. I'm still not getting why they're mushrooms. When you look at the mushrooms upside down, you see all the little fins. It's not okay. It's going to be unions, but not like unions before, because people are taking a deep look at the way it had been done before. And there's a new breath, a new approach to doing unionization and bringing power to workers themselves. It's going to turn traditional ways on its head. It's going to turn them upside down. So the tradition is like the fungus growing, but it's not in the same way. Okay. So what's the end result here? Now they're going back to the scales of justice and balance. So I guess this is a reevaluation and reassessment of the value of workers and a new way to approach negotiating and bringing power back to workers. Yeah. And some of it, I'm seeing something, I won't go into the exact kind of odd imagery, but it is going to include more support from the government of workers, especially. At least those are that is what some political parties would like to see. One especially. So good. That sounds good. What do you get?
Well, some more interesting cards here. Here we have the Page of Pentacles reversed again. And I think that this is like, this is about waiting for a message about money and job settlement. And that's, we all know it's been upheaval for the last couple of years with the pandemic and people not knowing about, are they going to have a job? What kind of job are they going to have? When are they going to get paid? What are their wages going to be to keep up with inflation? That kind of stuff. In the past position though. So that doesn't bother me. And then here, seeing the Four of Cups, I see this as like the new opportunities that are coming in, new types of jobs, new types of technology, new ways of doing things. And all the cups are upright. And the fact, like, this can be seen as like the magician's hand or the hand of God coming out of the cloud, and it's going to be things we don't even know what they are yet. When you think about, Joan and I in our lifetime, we remember black and white TVs, much less how the cell phone industry, how the phone industry has changed. So there's going to be a lot of new stuff coming along. And here, the way he's sitting is like in Jin Shin Jitsu. If you hold your elbows, you cross your hand and hold your elbows, you're regenerating your own power. So it's like all these workers, because of the pandemic, they've had a chance to actually take a step back and look at their life and look at their jobs and how they approach all that. And I think that they're stepping into like you were saying, a more powerful position by the world has had to realize how much we depend on these people that do these lower end jobs. And I don't say lower end as a put down, it's just on the totem pole of things, so to speak. Here we have the Page of Swords with a message of truth and logic. So I think that's very encouraging that there's, the sword is like, and you can see that the sword in this card extends beyond the view of the card. So that's like a huge sword that really goes a long way to cut away the stuff that doesn't suit us anymore, and to bring in the light of truth to help us, move forward. And then here, the Five of Wands, this can be about bickering, but it's also about change and transition and competition, conflicted thoughts. But, these people, they're not hitting each other. They're just kind of waving their wands around. And if they really want to, they can pull together and they can build something with those wands. So I don't necessarily see this as like, oh, people are going to be fighting or whatever. I think it's like there's going to be things that have to be worked out, obviously, because it's a huge time of change. But they're not working it out with swords. They're working it out with wands that can be built into a structure.
Bringing together all the parties and figuring out the
Mm-hmm.
new way.
And look at how they're all dressed differently and everything. So it's like it's like bringing everybody together. It's not having just one type of person ruling everything. It's all these
Yeah,
people coming together. And yeah, it's gonna, you can say bickering, but you can also say it's a, joining of minds, like talking it out, working it out. Everybody's throwing up all their ideas, and they when they figure out what they are, then they can take those wands and build their idea with it.
that sounds great.
You see anything else there?
Um, Sometimes people with the Four of Cups see that as options, like I don't want any of the options. And I could see that as workers saying, like
Mm-hmm.
management saying, here, try this. And
Mm-hmm.
they're saying, nope, I don't like that option. Things
Yeah.
have to be different.
Yeah.
And then it goes into a period of movement and change, and something good will come out of it.
And we've got 2 pages, so those are messages that are going to be coming. So we're going to be hearing about this
Yeah.
because we're starting to, I think, especially after November, we're going to be moving forward much more. We're not going to be so much in a holding pattern. We're going to be starting to um, bring some of these changes into being.
I can't wait.
Me too.
Okay, well, you've been talking a little bit about old-timey TV. So I've got something that relates to television, and that is that September seems to be a big month for the premieres of old television programs having to do with science fiction.
Oh,
September 8th, 1966, Star Trek premiered, the original one. September 10th, 1993, The X-Files
yeah.
premiered. I love that.
Uh-huh.
And in September 23rd, 1962, The Jetsons.
Oh, I love the Jetsons. Who was your favorite character on the Jetsons?
I liked Rosie the Robot.
Yeah, I did too. And I liked the dog. What was his name? Astro?
Astro.
Dog. Yeah, I think he was my favorite, but I think Rosie was my next favorite. Those
Rastro.
shows were so fun.
Rastro. That's right,
Restaurant.
Okay, so the question is, so can you comment on the use of mass media to introduce and spread information and ideas about the future? Because I think when we look back, it's like, wow, the Jetsons, they could have what we now consider FaceTime. All these ideas came up through science fiction and through mass media decades before they actually were realized. So what's the what can they say? What can Spirit say about the use of mass media to introduce and spread information and ideas about the future, including technologies and ideas that are used for the advancement of humankind? Okay, they're showing me two things. It's the eyedropper thing into the glass again, where it's a little bit at a time. It's been a long time since the early 60s with Star Trek and the Jetsons. But and then they're also showing me inspiration that even back then, I'm seeing like a funnel over someone's head. The Spirit, including our galactic friends, were inspiring writers and creators and thinkers, and from everything from movies and television to comic books and novels, kind of seeding their imaginations with these ideas, because it's like laying the groundwork. And once, what do they say? If you believe it, you can be it. And so they take the long game, and that's going to continue. What we're doing right now is going to be on this medium that never existed when we were young, and it's going to go out and maybe make some people think about ideas for the future. So that's Okay. So it's a continuation of this long game of the combination of inspiration and realization. And by inspiring people to create a program or a book or whatever, then it reaches more people. And those thoughts that were seeded are transferred into other people's mind, and we get the critical mass. So that's how things happen. That's how things are actualized. And the more people that are exposed to the ideas, it's a form of mass manifestation.
Like the 100th monkey kind of thing?
Yeah,
Maybe not quite, but
sort of.
along those lines. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Well, look at that. All these cards are right side up all of a sudden. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
We start out with the justice card, and I know that this is about, we think about the legality of things, and she's holding a scale, so it's about balance, but it's also about cause and effect. And I think that's, and this is in the past position, and about logic. I think when I see logic, I think of Spock on Star Trek,
Yeah.
who's always of the logical mind. And justice, it's kind of like justice for the universe in a way, like Earth has been down here fritzing around, messing things up, whatever, for the whole universe. And now it's like, okay, well, now we're going to have to pull together because we've kind of painted ourselves into this corner. So, and then here we've got the Five of Wands, which, yeah, it can be about bickering and whatever, but it's also about change. And I see these guys, rather than fighting, I see them going, look, I've got this one and I've got that wand. Maybe we can build an antenna with it, or maybe we can, like, what can we do with it to build something, a new future going forward? They're like this guy looking up, like, hey, what are you ETs telling us to do? Give us the floor plan of how to build this thing. Here with the Two of Wands, and he's looking at the globe. He's got the earth in his hands, and looking at new horizons, planning and strategy and decisions and boldness, which there we go again with that word boldness. What was it? To boldly go where no man has gone before. Captain Kirk would say that. Where I lived, it was on UHF. Remember when you had a UHF channel, like channel 13 or something, and the reception was bad. It took me a long time to realize it wasn't snowing in all that. In all the places on Star Trek, it was just the TV reception. Only us old folks know that kind of thing, I suppose. But looking at new horizons, new ways of doing things. And it's like he's taken two of the wands from these guys and said, okay, here, these are the bookends, or this is the beginning of it. This is where we start. You put two poles in the ground, and that's how you begin to build something new. Or it could be the antennas to bring in the ET knowledge. Who knows?
Yeah.
And here again, isn't this great to see the Ten of Pentacles yet again? What an encouraging card to show up every time, about family and stability, and it's also about like reverence for, like, maybe we're appreciating things a lot more because we're recreating. So when you want to recreate, when things have been so torn down, you want to pick the best of the other things together to build the best possible future. I also think it's interesting that the position that these pentacles make on this card are actually in the same as the tree of life, like in the Kabbalah. So, there's further messages there. But I find that very optimistic to have that end with the Ten of Pentacles as our outcome card.
Really? I mean, from the Five of Wands, we're trying to figure it out, putting new things together. And then the Two of Wands, where things have gotten figured out and he's kind of just waiting for a ship to come in. And the 10 of Pentacles, it looks like the ship has come in and everybody's happy and rejoicing in this new world. Well, I'm looking forward to that.
And they got the doggies there too. So our doggies will be with us. Our fur babies.
Okay. I've got just one more question. And that is, it's a selfish one because it's about the U.S. Postal Service, which was founded in 1789 on September 27th. And it's a selfish one for me. And I thought of it because I recently received a card from someone, and she dated it September 7th. It was postmarked, or not September, June, July 7th. It was postmarked July 8th, and I received it just a couple days ago. So it was 51 days from the day it was postmarked until the day I received it.
Do you get your mail by Pony Express? Or?
I think the Pony Express could have
got it there faster.
Got it there faster. And this is from a woman who lives in Virginia, and she actually drove out and came back to visit some friends in Minnesota. So she drove out and back and stayed for a couple of weeks before the card got there. So I'm wondering, what's the future of the U.S. Postal Service after this period of upheaval? Are we going to be doing a little bit better than the 51 days for a card to get to me?
Let's hope so.
Yeah.
I know I ordered something on Amazon, and I don't remember if it came through the post office. It went it zigzagged across the country. And I thought, how in the world is that logical? It makes no sense. I mean, big zigzags.
Wild. Okay, let's see. I'm seeing somebody playing a card game, like playing poker, and they're hiding their hand. What does this mean? There's still some strategy working out. Somebody's bluffing, it's still being treated sort of like a game. And then I'm seeing the person who had the cards like this, hiding their face. Somebody else put in a big, all the chips, and this guy said, "I'm out." So I don't know if that means funding or more attention or value put onto the services of the Postal Service. But there's whatever this behind the scenes stuff that someone was trying to pull off, that's going to go away. And if that means Louis DeJoy is going to be going away, that would be fine by me. But I do see things working out, getting better, and like so many things that happened during the pandemic, people realized how much they value the post office and the services. So maybe that means more money for infrastructure and people, and to make things work, not the way they used to work, but to move forward in a better way.
What do you get? Equipment back the way it should be.
Yeah.
Interesting cards here. So we have the Queen of Pentacles reversed, and that talks about being ungrounded and spacey. And I think we know exactly. I don't think I have to elaborate on that a whole lot. We know who's responsible for that, and he doesn't bring me much joy. I'll just put it that way. Seeing the Four of Cups in reverse, that's about self-induced retreat, withdrawal, and stagnation. And that's exactly what's been going on with the post office. I mean, it's exactly it. And holding out a cup, but no, I don't want that idea, swatting it away kind of thing. And on all the cups are upside down, so all the good stuff is run out of them. And then seeing the Page of Swords in reverse, that's about legal holdup and decision and delay. And I think that has to do with the fact that Biden couldn't just oust Joy when he got into office. It's much more complicated than that, and hence he's still there. But I think that once he's gone, I think we're going to then see the Ace of Cups. We're going to be overflowing with goodness and says new relationships and creation, new emotional start. I think that's all of us dancing in the street. I think we're going to be dancing in November, maybe by the middle of November.
I sure hope so.
But
well, that's good. That's encouraging.
I find that to be, these cards, they're not, but then again, we're not seeing the Devil card or, the Death card or anything. We know we're in a challenge. I'd be surprised if they were right side up, considering what's been going on.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
That
Do
was
you see
great.
anything different there?
I don't. I think you got it. You know, I don't have any further insights, but I really like your interpretation.
And I'm looking at, we've got 3 yes cards and a maybe. So I think it's going to, I think things once like you were talking about with the gears and the cogs, once things start going, it's that momentum of getting it going. Once it gets going, a lot of changes are really going to happen fast. And it's going to be like so much good. We're going to go, wow, got to get used to all this good stuff after all this waiting and sitting and being at home and, you know.
That's been the theme for pretty much everything we've been reading about. It's not going to happen right away, but there'll be the drops in the cup, and then everything will be and then there'll be change. So and it all kind of fits in with September being the beginning of autumn. It does, it's not all the trees don't turn all at once, but pretty soon when they do, things start to happen quickly. So
you just want those beautiful leaves to stay on the trees, and they just don't last. They're like, they lose their brilliance, before they fall. And it's like, oh,
yeah.
But I this reminds me of in Jinshin I was taught, be the fountain and not the reservoir.
Ooh.
And it's also about like, don't hang on to that old stuff. Let it flow, let it go out, and if you have gifts to offer, bring them out. This is the time to bring them out. Don't be shy. Share your gifts. All of us light workers really need to step up. This is why we're here. And I know it's challenging and it's scary and it's daunting at times, but dare to show who you are, because look at all of us who came together who were a bunch of homebodies or introverts and whatever, and would never, like, I wouldn't go check my mailbox during the day because I didn't want to see anybody. And now we're connected with people all over the world. And I
cool.
think that our joined forces of staying positive and supporting each other is going to really turn the tides in a big way.
And I think that's the perfect message on which to end our look ahead for September. So thank you, Juno, so much. And thanks everybody who's watching. Bye now.
Appreciate you guys. Bye.